Hello, this is a review of the Hobbymate Lipo Safe Bag. We've all seen videos on the internet of Lipos catching on fire, and we know they're hazardous. So a bag like this goes a long way to protect your home, your car, or anywhere using Lipo batteries. So let's take a closer look at the bag. So it is 8 inches by about 6 inches by about 6 inches. It has a Velcro flap. It has a zipper here, and if you take a close look at the zipper construction, you'll see it's not what you would normally expect. The zipper is made to limit the amount of oxygen or air that can get into the bag, but also works as like a one-way valve to let combustion gases get out of the bag. So you don't want to seal in the combustion gases. So it's interesting. I've never seen a zipper construction like this before, but you can unzip it, and its material is, I would call, semi-flexible. It's got a good feel to it. It's all made of the same type of material. This particular material is a new generation of flame retardant material, and it is supposed to be better than what's been previously out. So, but we'll be putting that to the test later. So it's also got your Lipo warning on the back. We've seen these on our Lipo batteries as well. And so with that, let's see how we might use this. The first way you can use the bag is during charging. During charging is one of the more hazardous times for Lipos. You could have set your charger wrong and overcharged them, which is a reason Lipos might catch on fire. There might be a short. So this is a good time to use a bag like this. So you would simply put your batteries in. You can see I've got a parallel charging board here, and you can put your batteries in. And you can see these, a fair number of batteries here fit in here just fine. And with the double zippers, you can really just have all the wires coming out in one point. So another time you want to use a bag like this is when you're storing your Lipos. So I have a bunch of different sizes, so let's see how they all generally fit in. As you can see, it holds a lot of batteries. So you would just zip it up. And that would be the way you'd want to store all your batteries. So I think the third use for this bag is when you're moving batteries from one point to another. Like perhaps you're all charged up and you're ready to go to the flying field. So if you keep them in the bag, it adds an extra layer of protection while you're in your car. You certainly don't want any kind of issue with batteries catching fire in a small space. So a bag like this can be very, added extra level of protection. With that, I think the next thing we need to do is to see how good it works. So I'm going to get a lighter, and we'll see how this holds up against a flame. And then we'll do the ultimate test, and we'll attempt to catch a battery or cause a Lipo to catch on fire and see how the bag does. All right, so here we are with the lighter. Let's see how it does. A little bit of soot. It's hot, but it didn't burn it. Seems like it works pretty good. Getting a little bit of soot on there. That's about it. It's hot. All right, so let's go outside and do the ultimate test, where we'll see if we can make a lipo catch on fire in the bag and see how it does. All right, so here we go. I've got the lipo bag sitting on some newspaper, which should simulate some flammable material. I got a 4200 milliamp hour 3-cell lipo hooked up to my charger, and the charger's set up for NiCad at 12 amps, which what that'll do is that'll overcharge this lipo and hopefully catch it on fire so we can test out the bag. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, just a little update. I switched it over back to lipo and changed it to a 4-cell battery. So that's going to try to charge this 3-cell, which normally tops off at 12.6 volts, all the way up to 16.8 volts. So hopefully that'll make it catch on fire. So currently I'm putting 8.8 amps into the battery, and the battery's sitting at a voltage of about 13.5 volts, and put an extra 1,000 milliamp hours in it so far. All right, so the lipo's venting. Lipo just caught on fire. Puts out an amazing amount of smoke. Can't imagine not having that lipo bag. If that lipo caught on fire, it put out a tremendous amount of smoke. All right, let's see. Let's open it up. It's been probably about 10 minutes. Looks like most of the smoke. Yeah, most of the smoke is done here. It is, wow, look at that battery. It is completely nothing but ashes and the anode and cathode plates. The bag did exactly what it was supposed to. The newspaper didn't catch on fire. So let's take this inside and take a closer look at it on the bench. So now let's take a closer look at what's left of the battery and the bag. First off is the battery. So you can see here the 3 individual cells. There's one there, there's one there, and there's one there. And there's the charge lead. So I really had no idea there were these many individual plates within a cell. So I found that pretty interesting. So all we got left is crumbly ash and the anode and cathodes themselves. Taking a look at the bag. So let's think about what we saw when the lipo caught on fire in the bag. Well, first of all, the bag did not contain the smoke, and we really wouldn't have expected it to. I mean, there was a tremendous amount of smoke coming out of this bag, and it did not contain it. And I don't think, you wouldn't want to contain it. You got to let that smoke out. The most important thing we saw was that the bag appeared to contain the flames. We saw no flames get out of the bag, and also it did not catch the newspaper on fire below the bag. Also, the bag contained a lot of heat. we know that a Lipo fire is tremendously hot, and it was hot enough. On the outside of the bag, we can see the nylon strap here did melt to the top of the bag. So that meant that this outside surface, at least at the top here, was hot enough to melt it. Nylon melts at about 375 degrees. There's a little section here that wasn't fully melted, so maybe that's about the temperature the top of the bag was. But that goes to say that if you have a Lipo fire, maybe even with a larger size battery like this, and it's sitting on some sort of fabric or surface that melts at a lower temperature, maybe like a carpet or maybe a car seat, then it likely could, even with a fire that great or that much heat being generated, it could still damage that surface. So as we look at the bag itself, we can see here that the zipper totally melted all the way around, and we saw that when we opened it, and that's not really, shouldn't really surprise us as much as we saw all that hot smoke exiting the bag. It certainly would melt a plastic zipper. But one thing I thought was really important was that this front flap here did not melt across here, and when I had to pull that open, I literally had to rip that apart, and you can actually see pieces of the Velcro that stayed together and got fused to on both sides. So essentially that Velcro fused that lid shut, and that's important because if all that, I mean, so much gas was coming out, how much smoke. I mean, if the zipper melts, which they'll do on all bags, then this flap is really the only thing holding the top down, and if that opens up, maybe that lets some flames out that way. So I think that's a really important feature of this bag. That's something we definitely always want to look for. The other thing, as we kind of look inside here, this was the area where the bag, or where the Lipo was resting, back in this corner, I would say in this area. You can tell from the burn marks. But if you look on the outside, we don't see any discoloration on the outside from where all that heat was on the inside. So, that just goes to show that this new generation of fabric, really is doing a good job. So I'd say that's the other key feature of this bag. So what are our conclusions? So no bag or container is going to contain the smoke. So if you have a Lipo fire, that's going to be an issue in a confined space. The second item is, if any bag is full of Lipos and they caught on fire, and they all caught on fire, that would make a tremendous amount of smoke and would make for a very, very bad day. We saw how much smoke was put out just by this, fairly large but single Lipo. In my opinion, the most hazardous times with Lipos are when they're being charged. During those times, we got to believe, maybe only have one or two or maybe three batteries inside the bag. So that would, obviously mean that there's less potential energy. So really, a good quality bag like this adds an extra layer of protection. Much like these gloves add an extra layer of protection to my hands, but they don't guarantee 100% protection. And I don't think any Lipo bag or any container can guarantee that either. But this bag does have some features that I think are important, and that is it has this top flap, and also that it's made out of this second generation of fire retardant material that seems to work very well. All in all, I think this bag performed very well in this test. I've got a second bag. I'm going to use it whenever I charge, now that I've seen how bad a Lipo fire can really be firsthand. So thank you, Hobbymate, for providing this to me for review, and I think it's a really good product.